Hello.
Welcome everyone to Nerdabout.
Wow. I'm Daryl Andrews, a freelance board game designer living in Toronto, Canada. I also consult for Maestro Media. And the first U.S. hospital and the first U.S. zoo, not the same place, were both in Philadelphia.
Hello. I am Beneeta Kaur, a board game Twitch streamer and social media consultant, and 1 out of every 6 U.S. physicians trained at some point in Philadelphia. We're just continuing the doctor hospital trend.
Love it. Love it. As a veterinarian, I'm insulted by your first statement there, Daryl.
I mean, they can be. They can be.
I'm Corey Thompson, co-owner of Above Board TV, co-host of Board Game Insider, and author of the interview website Dice Tower Dish. And did you know Philadelphia was the home to the first general use computer, which weighed 26 pounds in 1946?
A little baby.
Yeah, it's
thing.
super light computer.
So, welcome to Nerdabout episode 10, and if you have not surmised, we are talking about Philadelphia. Nerdabout's brought to you by the good folks over at Lucky Duck Games. The big ones right now at Lucky Duck are the Kickstarter gems Unconscious Mind and Andromeda's Edge are going to retail through the Big Duck. And Unconscious Mind should have early copies for sale at PAX Unplugged. So look out for that one. PAX Unplugged just around the corner. Nerdabout is a show about travel, food, culture, and general cattywampus. We are 3 good friends within the board game industry who, through hugs, haberdashery, and hullabaloo, have ended up in some absolutely amazing cities.
I like that use of haberdasher.
Just for you, Daryl.
The wampus, that was my favorite word so far. That was
cattywampus. It's just craziness and chaos.
That's great. I love it. So what has everyone been up to lately? Daryl, I know you had some people over.
Yeah, it's been a busy week since our last episode. I've had some special guests over that have stayed over at the house. So Michael Gugliano came over from 3WS. My co-designer Sylvain Plante has been over for a few days. Jacob Way came from Friendly Skeleton, and
awesome.
Toronto legendary game designer Eric Lang was also over. And the rule while Eric was over was no games. So I didn't play too many games. Also, Daniel Rocky came over too. And for me, because I've already had Thanksgiving, I'm just looking forward to Black Friday.
Is there something in particular that you're trying to buy?
I have a few ideas of things. I was thinking about getting some new pots. I just feel like I want a new cooking pot set.
Okay, so I have a lot of opinions on this. I use Hexclad and I love them, and I know Hexclad they're going on sale during Black Friday.
They better have a good deal. I like a good deal. So.
Yeah, Hexclads are great cooking. I'm a fan.
Well, I'm still recovering after BGG Con, which just ended. It seems like it's been nonstop. And getting ready for Thanksgiving, and everything is just happening at once. But I did get some off time, played Fromage and Obsession, 2 hot games that are pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I got to do a little fall stuff. I harvested my pomegranates and made gallons of pomegranate juice.
Did you have to
the winter crop?
The hitting trick?
It doesn't work.
It works. It works. I like the wooden spoon.
As someone who has literally seeded out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pomegranates, the cut the top off and peel them apart doesn't work. The cut the sides and hammer them out doesn't work. The little device doesn't work. The squeeze thing doesn't work. I cut them in half, rip them up, put them in water, and just peel them out. And it's a skill you just get.
Yeah. Well, damn, I wish I had some pomegranates. I love pomegranates. So for the past week, I have been a little sick. Thank God, knock on wood, it's not COVID. I've been testing, but I've just gotten the common cold because that still exists apparently. I've just been getting ready for Thanksgiving. I'm always in charge of stuffing. And I always make like a sausage stuffing, but because we have a lot of allergies, I also make a gluten-free vegan stuffing. So I have 2 stuffings to make, which need very different groceries.
Yep.
That I've been doing. And we talked about from our sponsor, Unconscious Minds. That's actually a game I got to pick up at Essen, and I finally got it played earlier this weekend, and it was great. It was
Heavy,
really
crunchy
fun.
goodness.
It was a
It's
heavy,
so
crunchy
nice.
goodness.
Wow.
It took me like an hour to learn how to play because we were learning from a video and the rule book. And then it was 2 of us, and it took roughly 4 hours. Mind you, we were referring back to the rules and like talking and stuff. But I'm very excited. I will probably never play Unconscious Minds F4, but I loved it. Like, I'm very excited to play it again.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Long game, but maybe you can teach me at some time.
It was a learning game, right? So
Right.
I'm assuming that time will be chopped in half. When I come visit you, Daryl, I'll teach you.
Yes.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah, Johnny Pack's magnum opus.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great, and the art is like stunning because they did 2 artists,
Andrew Bosley and Vincent Dutray.
Yeah, the real world and the fantasy dream world.
Yeah,
and it just works.
It's really
so well.
cool.
I love it. Well, talking about geeky things like this, as we shift to Philadelphia, Corey, tell us about what's geeky going on.
There's so much good geeky stuff to do in Philly, but we can't talk about it without first bringing up PAX Unplugged. We're in the board game world, so PAX Unplugged is turning into one of the preeminent board game conventions. PAX, you probably know, is a group of conventions originally started by the Penny Arcade webcomic guys, Jerry Holkins and Mike Krahulik. They started it in 2004. PAX Unplugged kind of took the PAX model away from video games and arcade and brought it into tabletop gaming. And PAX Unplugged started in 2017. It is a huge convention, not quite as big as Gen Con, but bigger than Origins. The numbers last year, if I remember right, were almost 40,000.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really cool.
It is a massive show. Highly recommended. And it's the first US show where you start to see Essen release board games trickle out to the public.
That's fair.
So,
that's true.
Yeah.
A fantastic visit.
I would say that's a baby con compared to this show that I'd recommend because yes, we like games, but you know what? People love flowers. And so Philadelphia hosts the Philadelphia Flower Show. It is now in its 196th year. That's incredible. I want to go in 4 years. It has the award-winning Philadelphia PHS Flower Show. It's a one-of-a-kind marquee event. It's a big deal. It's a global event. People go there from around the world. It's an immersive floral exhibit. I've had friends that have actually shown at a few different flower shows around the world, and it was a big deal for them to be at Philadelphia.
Wow.
To put it into perspective, it is 250,000 people that is the estimate.
Yeah. And it's in the same convention center where PAX is held, so you can imagine that entire space filled with flowers. I've actually talked to some of the people who work security at PAX about the flower show, and they have nothing but these like stellar, mystical, otherworldly things to say about it. It seems very cool.
Marianne, who's in chat, hello. She's saying that her and her mom used to go to that show all the time. That's very cool.
Yeah, and our future guest, their aunt showcase there, so we'll have to ask them about it.
So one of the other places I remember fondly from my childhood is the Franklin Institute. This is a hands-on style science museum, absolutely perfect for, let's say, 8-year-old Corey. It's a science museum founded in 1824. The best comparison, if you're from the West Coast, it's like the Exploratorium. 1824? No, I had to wait until it opened. But the Franklin Institute has the largest collection of Wright Brothers artifacts. It's got a gigantic human heart that you can walk through. It has a working steam locomotive inside, and you can see all the parts and how it works. It's just absolutely amazing for both kids and adults because there's so much to touch and see and mess with. It's in a whole science center, but that museum is absolutely extraordinary.
That's really cool. And another cool museum, so I haven't personally been, but my friend has been multiple times, and she is obsessed with it. It's called the Mutter Museum. It showcases a very fascinating collection of medical specimen, instruments, different anatomical artifacts, including sections of Albert Einstein's brain, and something called the soap lady. And the soap lady is like this body that like had this weird, interesting, like what I don't remember the term. Something happened to it. Thank you. that. And it looks like her body is like covered in soap, but it's not. It's whatever Corey just said. So it's part of the College of Physicians of Philadelphia. And it just essentially offers a very unique exploration of the human body. It basically, there's just like a ton of specimens in jars. Like that's the vibe. So you'll know if that's the vibe for you or not. Like I do want to go there one day. It sounds very cool.
I think I went when I was a kid. I remember rooms and rooms and rooms of things in bottles.
Yeah.
So one of the other big ones in the general Philadelphia area is a little bit of an obsession with the mummers. The mummers are a very old social organization that are like amateur actors in really bright and vibrant clothes that date back to Middle Ages Europe. But there is in Philadelphia both the Mummers Museum, which opened in 1976, and the big reason the Mummers Museum is there is there's a Mummers Day Parade in Philadelphia that's been held every New Year's since 1901. My favorite part about this is there's actually 5 categories of mummers. They compete for best of. There are the comics, the fancies, the string bands, the fancy brigades, and of course the wench brigades.
Wench brigades, I love that.
So the Mummers Day Parade, if you've been in Philly at New Year's, you know about the Mummers Day Parade. And it's just a weird and convoluted, fascinating history of this group of just public folk street performers in crazy garb. Another thing that I really dig in Philly is they have the Edgar Allan Poe National Historic Site, which is a house where Edgar Allan Poe lived and a museum about Edgar Allan Poe. But the really cool thing they have near there is they actually have a taxidermied raven that was Charles Dickens' pet raven named Grip. And Grip was the inspiration for the poem, The Raven. So Grip is actually in the Free Library of Philadelphia near the Edgar Allan Poe, but there's a whole wonderful connection to Poe and his works in Philadelphia.
That's very cool. Yeah, like Edgar Allan Poe, there's like I went to school in Baltimore, so there was like a site over there in our school too. So like Edgar Allan Poe sites all over, up and down the East Coast, essentially.
Interesting fact, they now think he died of rabies.
That tracks.
That honestly doesn't surprise me. You know what? We want to hear some more interesting, cool Philly facts. So we're going to introduce our guest, Heather O'Neill. Hello, Heather.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Hi, how are you all?
So Heather is the CEO of Ninth Level Games. She is a campaign strategist at BackerKit, and she is the managing director of Unpub, where she combines leadership, strategy, and community advocacy to support and grow the tabletop gaming industry. So we're very excited that you're here, Heather.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and we appreciate you. I know it's like busy Black Friday, not Black Friday, Thanksgiving. That's the more important celebration. Thanksgiving weekend. So Heather, you know, we love asking all our guests this question. What is something fascinating, interesting about Philadelphia that 3 of us wouldn't know?
Cool. I'm sure you know many stories about Philadelphia sports, but they're usually not painting us in a good light. But one of the things you might not have heard about is the Billy Penn curse, William Penn. Which maybe Corey has if you're from Jersey.
We don't commune with Philadelphia people. This New Jersey.
Yeah. So if you've been to Philadelphia, PAX Unplugged, you may have seen like the city hall, like the very ornate building. Up on top of there is I'm saying little, but it's a pretty big William Penn statue because Pennsylvania, William Penn, right? And it was there, I don't know however many years, but at some point we started realizing as a group that we are all losing sports. We're never winning anything. And I think it was like in 1987, to like 2007, they realized like we haven't won anything. And you know what happened? That's when we started building skyscrapers higher than that statue on top of City Hall. That must be it. So clearly, obviously, how do we make that mistake, I guess? So the people started like really believing that must be the problem and the reason.
Makes
so
perfect sense.
when the Comcast building, or Xfinity building now probably, was constructed in either 07 or 08, they put a little Billy Penn statue on the top of it, and then the Phillies won the World Series that year in 2008. So it hasn't really stuck every year since then, but we've won a couple things. So it's like, now people that are superstitious sports people swear that is why we were losing for so many years.
Love it. Mostly I love that he's now Billy Penn.
Yeah.
I think, I'm sure it's the William Penn, but people in the Philly call him Billy Penn.
Of course.
I love that superstition so much. That's great.
Amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's really funny. So, so if you look, I haven't seen the one on top of Comcast, but apparently it's there. So
that's great.
So with PAX Unplugged happening right around the corner next weekend, what is the tabletop scene like in Philadelphia?
It's pretty good. So as far as just like places to go get games and play games, we've got three, but two smaller board game cafes that are locally owned. So one's called Queen and Rook, which is on South Street. And it's a huge new location. It has a game store. It's got an arcade in the basement. Like it's like a fun complex. And I think there's a bunch of parties and events happening there during PAX Unplugged. And then Thirsty Dice, which is kind of by the art museum, is like a friend of my husband Chris and I from grade school owns that, cool. Which is cool. And then there's also a Brews and Boards, which I think is a chain as well near the University City area. And then we've got a bunch of local game stores that are awesome and have, either like indie titles or local designers featured on top of all the hot games. So Philly Game Shop is my favorite one. And then Red Cap's Corner is another great one. So if you're coming to PAX Unplugged, you can check those out.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the other thing that's kind of cool is, I want to say it was in 2016, Nicole Amato and us and a few other people started a branch of the Game Makers Guild, which is originally from Boston. So it's just like a group of game designers that meet monthly or sometimes twice a month to play test games, get feedback, talk amongst ourselves, and it's been going strong since 2016. So it's been awesome.
So cool.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
That's very cool.
Yes.
Well, with that said, and knowing that you're the CEO of Ninth Level Games, we're always curious how different game companies work and function. And one question that I have in mind is, how do you pick the games that you choose to make?
That's a good question. I mean, partly now since 2019, we focus a lot more on role-playing games. Like we just knew we couldn't compete with the board game market at our scale. We're pretty small, but we know a lot about role-playing. It's kind of the heart place of a lot of our writers and teams. So we've moved mostly that direction. So it's partly what's an awesome theme that we think would be really cool to play in. And also, what doesn't exist, right? So a lot of what we try to do is like find that hole in the market that we also like. And it typically involves something funny or weird. So we try to do much more of that side. We're not trying to compete with D&D and Pathfinder. We're much more on the light, fun side of things, which brings us to titles like Sentai and Sensibility that just came out last month, where you are Power Rangers and Jane Austen, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing we're looking for. So, next year we've got one called WrestleMania. It's Castlevania meets wrestling, right? So it's
That's
like we've got
so fun.
those kind of things.
Man.
It has to resonate and actually work as a game. But we have a large list of concepts that we're like, can we make this work as a game? And we usually do theme first for sure for that. Yeah, absolutely.
So we're gonna go back to like Philly as a city, and I wanted to know, what is your like favorite place to get drinks, and what is your favorite restaurant in Philly?
I'm gonna start with restaurant because I have a longer thing to say about the drink. So
Okay.
there's a lot of amazing restaurants, and I will, because I've been going, since I've been over 21 since early 2000s. So Amada used to be my favorite restaurant that's been around for a long time. It's Jose Garza's Spanish place, but I would say my new favorite restaurant in the last few years is Vernick Food and Drink. It's on 20th and Walnut. It's very good American tapas, but just like everything they make is amazing. So
okay,
that's my favorite of the moment. Drink wise though, it is called Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's on for Rittenhouse Square.
Oh yeah,
it's amazing. They actually won a James Beard for their restaurant last year too. So it's legit on food as well. But the reason I'm bringing it up for drinks is that the main bartender, Paul McDonald, has created, this is so for your geeky thing, Corey, his Fibonacci sequence cocktails.
Wow.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. So it's all alcohol. There's no mixer, but he does it in the Fibonacci sequence. So it balances and it doesn't taste like you're just drinking a Long Island iced tea or something really, really strong. And for years we were like, this is so awesome. This is so great. If you follow him on Instagram, it's beautiful. Well, now, just a month or so ago, he has a wheel that you can spin. And the part it shows in the wheel is what 5 alcohols will be made in the Fibonacci sequence.
Oh my goodness.
It's so cool. Unfortunately, the bar is very small, like 12 seats. So it's super hard to get in there. But if you can make a special trip, it's absolutely worth it.
Oh my
I wonder
God,
if
I want to go.
Henry Audubon knows about that. Henry Audubon Philly made it. And Cosmoctopus is Fibonacci based.
Oh yeah, I should message him about that then. Yeah, it's so cool, and I finally got to spin the wheel a couple weeks ago, and it's really awesome.
I love that idea.
That's so cool. Yeah, I've been once, and I really love Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But like you said, it's a small spot.
It's hard to get in there, especially on a weekend, but it is amazing.
Yeah. I'm not sure I want 8 or 13 parts of alcohol in my drink.
Well, it's only 5. Sorry, he just does 5. Yeah.
Up to 5. Okay.
Up to 5. He doesn't just keep going on that.
Scary.
You're
never more than 5. Yeah.
You're saying it's just pure alcohol. There's like no mixers, but it still tastes good.
Yes, it still tastes good.
What? You're blowing my mind right now.
Everything
That's wild.
Now you don't want to pick one that has the main 3-part or ingredient of something you don't like, right? Probably not what you want to choose. And so he has a bunch on the menu that are just top sellers. And then there's like, hey, are you already like in for anything? Like kind of like when you ask for any drink at a fancy cocktail bar, that's when the wheel can come in, and you can just try it.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. So great answers for restaurants and place for a drink. Our last question for you for this segment, which will lead us into our next, is what is a favorite spot somewhere in Philadelphia for you? It could be for beauty, it could be for fun. What is a secret spot or a less secret spot that you love?
Well, yeah, it's tough because of a lot of things you either already mentioned or they're kind of very well known in the area. But like the zoo is great. I love that. A couple things that come to mind, unfortunately, are not downtown. One of the things I just thought about was it's about 20-30 miles outside of Philly. It's the Audubon Bird Center from Audubon. That's not Henry Audubon too, is it? Or am I just now John?
They're not related.
It's James. It's James. Yeah, I think it is. So it's like a bird sanctuary, and that is also really close to Valley Forge Park. The whole George Washington type of level of things. So from a history perspective, going up, maybe 20 miles outside of Philly, which is like near where I live. There's a giant King of Prussia Mall, conglomerate insanity, and then beautiful old historic places near there as well. So.
Cool.
That's very
cool. Well, thank you so much, Heather, for answering all of our questions. We're going to go ahead and put you backstage in the green room. We've got some melons and charcuterie and little drinks for you there.
Awesome.
And then we'll bring you back at the end of the show for our final question, so you can start worrying about that right away.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks. All right. See you soon.
So, Daryl, tell us about some sites and locations, since we're on that subject, around Philadelphia.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing that's wild to me is that Philadelphia is actually home to over 3,600 murals, which is the most in the United States, making it the city of murals. Anything from graffiti to art, it's quite stunning. And so I want to highlight a few different spots that you can go around and see, some near murals, some not. One, obviously, I want to shout out a few hotels. The Hilton Philadelphia at Penn's Landing is the only waterfront hotel in Philly. And it's featured in the Philadelphia Hope Fence, where visitors attach little locks. So
I love it when that
it's
happens.
a cute little romantic spot for a memory or a love. One of the old hotels, again, Philadelphia being such a historic city, Morris House Hotel was actually built in 1787, which is just an absolutely wild date to me. And then personally, a little shout out. I obviously got to give my Marriott Bonvoy some love. But downtown, my personal favorite Marriott location is the Notary Hotel. I use it traditionally for PAX Unplugged. Sadly, not going this year, but it's actually listed in the National Registration of Historic Places. And it has kind of like a 1920s vibe. And you even get a stamp because it was a notary. They stamp you when you get checked in.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, it was originally in a notary building.
So a fun thing there. But Corey, you were telling me about a fun building in Philadelphia.
It's a really cool building just for the sake of architecture and size and everything, the Wanamaker building. And it was home to the first American department store, Wanamaker's. And it is just the scale and the scope of it is massive. It is a huge building that has that early 1900s feel to it. And one of the other really cool things about it is it's home to the largest operating musical instrument in the world.
Whoa.
It's cheating a little bit because it's a pipe organ, so those are sprawling and the keyboard is nowhere near the pipe, so you can kind of fudge a bit on size. But it was actually the pipe organ from the St. Louis World's Fair at the turn of the century. It's been moved to the Wanamaker building.
Very cool. How about you, Beneeta? I know you had one place in mind.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about the Shofuso Japanese House and Garden. So it's a traditional, like 17 style Japanese, like nationally recognized garden, which is located in Philly's Fairmount Park, and it features a koi pond, a tea house. It's landscaped, and it basically offers visitors a very immersive experience in Japanese culture and design. It's absolutely gorgeous. If you looked at these pictures, you'll want to go visit. It's very beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful.
Very cool. Well, and some other beautiful, landmarks or places to see. I mean, obviously, maybe the most iconic when you think of is Independence Hall and the Liberty Bell.
Yeah.
I've done the tour a number of times. I was a big fan of like the John Adams HBO special. So, like watching and then getting to go visit the Independence Hall. They have some really great tours. The Liberty Bell is in front of this beautiful window that looks on to the Independence Hall, so you can take some really cool photos. And that Liberty Bell, obviously, famously commissioned in 1752. But that's not the only statue you could get a photo with. What's the iconic one that I love, Corey?
Important history here. There's the statue of Rocky Balboa.
Yeah.
So it's the statue of Rocky going like this. And it's at the bottom of those famous steps that lead up to the east entrance of the Philadelphia Museum of Art. There's 72 steps total, and you can do the whole Rocky thing. We actually did a play on that on Above Board. We had our host Travis run the 72 steps training in a gray sweatsuit.
I love that.
The interesting thing with the Rocky statue, it actually was made to be filmed. It was put in to be part of Rocky 3 to kind of show how famous Rocky Balboa had become in the movie. And then after the movie, Stallone donated the statue to the city of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Very fun. Talking about my love for Rocky, there's also the iconic love statue. I'm sure many of you have seen it.
Yes. Taking pictures in front of it.
LOVE with the
You got it. Exactly.
Yep.
And so that's in the JFK Plaza. It was just a few years ago restored and kind of freshened up. And they've actually renovated the whole park area. So there's more area to take photos because it has gained a lot of notoriety, a lot more tourists visiting. And then the last one that I'll give a shout out to is something that I enjoy walking by is Christchurch Burial Ground at 5th and Arch. It's closed in the winter, so anyone that's going for PAX, you might not be able to get in. Traditionally, it's a $5 fee, but you can just walk by. I think it's on 5th, where the gated fence, you can reach in, throw a penny if you want on Benjamin Franklin's like resting place. And there's also 4 other signers of the Declaration of Independence in there, and his wife, and a few other very famous people in the grounds.
And 2 more signers of the Declaration of Independence are actually buried at Christ Church, which is right next to the Christchurch burial ground, but not actually in the burial ground. So Philly is loaded with so much history.
So much history.
Deep history, absolutely. So lots of sights to see, but obviously we are big fans of taking some pit stops, so we highly recommend, some restaurants and food. Beneeta, where do people need to go to quench their thirst or their hunger?
So when people think of Philadelphia, what is the first thing that comes to mind? I want to say it's probably the Philly cheesesteak. So if you are new here, what is a Philly cheesesteak? So it's got some meat, like you got ribeye, round steak, cooked on a griddle. You have it served in a long hoagie roll. And it's either topped with a lot of different types of melted cheese, provolone, American cheese, or cheese whiz, which is my personal favorite on it.
It's gotta be cheap, thinly cut meat and cheap cheese.
Well,
it just works perfect. And I'm not saying that with any. Yeah, this is not derogatory. This is how you make it perfect.
How it is. And you can also, like, some common additions are, sauteed onions, pepper, sometimes mushroom. It's really rich, savory. It's a common street food. It's a comfort food. So it is attributed to Pat and Henry Olivieri in the 1930s. But the best, cheesesteak place, it's very contentious. You have people saying Pat's King of Steaks. You got Gino's.
Well, Pat's King of Steaks is Pat Olivieri's restaurant. Yep. So the original creator, theoretically.
Yes.
But is it the best one? And honestly, I don't know. I've been to both, and I do not know which one I like more. Corey, do you have
go wrong?
I gotta throw in. You can't go wrong. They're all good. Yeah. But having said that, the true master, and I get this from many friends who are locals, is Lou's Sandwich Shop. They've been in business for over 80 years in Norristown, which is where Heather's from, and a good friend of the channel, Marion, is from. Her parents are from Norristown. But they also make Zeps or Zeppelins, which is their Italian subs. So Lou's Sandwich Shop is the place to go.
So I don't think I've been to Lou's. So maybe this next week when I go, I'll check it out. And so, cheesesteak, big thing. But Philly also has another sandwich called the Schmitter. And this is when I went to PAX U many years ago. Anna Maria from Violet Daisy Games introduced me to the Schmitter. And oh my God, I had to drive home after. And I literally could not drive home because I was so full. So what is the Schmitter? So the Schmitter is from McNally's Tavern, and it's basically like a roast beef sandwich, but you have onions, you have salami, you have tomato, cheese, and then you have like a Schmitter sauce, which is kind of similar to a Thousand Island dressing, but better. And then you all packed it on a Kaiser roll, and it's so good. It's served warm. Wow. It's delicious. And then McNally's Tavern also has really, really good cakes. So I remember getting this coconut cream cake, and it was so good. And, McNally's Tavern's a little bit of a hike. It's not super close to the convention center, but if you're driving or, you have a car, definitely check it out because I love the Schmitter. I cannot say how much I love that sandwich. It's so good. It's so good. Another Philadelphia thing is called the tomato pie, which is like a pizza variant, which has a thick, chewy crust, then a thick layer of lightly sweet sauce, and a light dusting of parm. I have never had tomato pie. Have either of you had tomato pie?
No. I had it, and it is pizza-like, but not pizza, and it is so good. It just works.
Ah.
It works. Okay, you like it. Okay, cool. I'll have to check it out.
I have to give that a try. My go-to, and again, things have kind of changed since the last time I was in Philly, but I have been obsessed over the years. South Philly Barbacoa. I've heard it's been rebranded as Casa Mexico, and it's
Well, I've
changed
heard good things
locations.
about this place.
Yeah, Christina Martinez won the James Beard a couple years ago. Amazing, just family business, cooking amazing food. I remember at least days where we would run down on a Saturday morning crazy early and like just buy up a ton of tacos, and then like all day we'd just be eating tacos out of a bag. It was awesome.
I love that.
I think they have extended hours now because it was difficult to eat there all the time. But that was my go-to. I'll also mention Canella, which was a Greek restaurant that I was a big fan of. I know that the chef, who was a former James Bard nominee, Constantino Pizzolidis. I'm sorry, I butchered your name, but I loved his food, and they were like a very like go-to. Like I remember seeing them on one of those cooking shows about like kind of like where chefs would hang out late at night after they were done cooking. Like that was the place to just have some grappa and chill and enjoy. And then the last one I want to give a shout out for, and both you guys were there. Was I organized a private dinner, kind of in this secret back kitchen. It was all like literally like groceries and whatnot around the room, but
It was very cool.
And
it was amazing.
Yeah,
Yes.
we had kind of this secret kitchen dinner. I think there was about 10 or 12 of us all around this giant table, and they just kept bringing dish in after dish. It's kind of an Italian spot, and I loved it.
It was It was delicious. It was amazing.
On the theme of Italian stuff, I got to throw a shout out to Pizza Brain. So one, it's a great pizza place, but more importantly, it has the official museum of pizza culture. So if you want to eat some good pizza and go to a pizza museum, Pizza Brain.
Wow.
I didn't know that there's a pizza museum, and now I must see what a pizza museum looks like. Okay, very cool. So Philadelphia has also a really cool Chinatown. So you know what? It's right next to the convention center and Reading Terminal, and it has really good restaurants that specialize in all types of Chinese cuisine. I love going there for dim sum, and Daryl actually introduced me to my current favorite dim sum place. So I've been there a few times now, called Nam Wa. Philadelphia, and it's so good. So Daryl, I'm gonna go there this year. I'm gonna think of you fondly.
Thank you.
I'll send you pictures.
Send me pictures of people enjoying it. I love that place so much. It is usually my first restaurant that I eat at every time I get to Philly, because it's just like no nonsense, great food. The prices are crazy affordable too, which is I don't know how they do it. But on the flip side, a very affordable but still incredible food, and my all-time favorite. It's tough to choose between them because there's actually, the high-end restaurant, but there's also the same chef has another one, and that is Zayhoff and also Laser Wolf. I know, Corey, you've been to both.
Oh, I love Laser Wolf. I go every year when I go to PAX.
I love it. Okay. It's from 5-time James Board winning chef Michael Solomonov. And if you ever watch Somebody Feed Phil, it is featured in there, both restaurants. They're incredible. I went one time with Erica Boyoris and Andrew Stiles and Eric Lang, and another time with Jacob Way, and both times the meals were just out of this world. It's incredible.
High-end
Are you talking
Israeli
about
food.
Zahav or Laser Wolf, or both of them?
Well, both. One, I went with Jacob to Zahav. It's tough to get a reservation there, so we actually had two at the bar, and it was really fun because we had the bartender mixing us drinks all night too.
Yeah.
But Laser Wolf's a little more laid back, a little cool, but it's still like great flavors. And
I love Laser Wolf sends you a plate of a million little tiny appetizers that are so interesting and unique, and they'll bring more of anything on this tray of appetizers. So there's hummuses and baba ganoushas and interesting carrots and strange curries and sweet potatoes and so good.
Oh,
so good.
That sounds amazing. Continuing with like the nice fancy restaurants, Corey, tell me about some of your favorite Japanese restaurant.
Well, it's cheating a little bit. There is a Morimoto in Philadelphia, and Morimoto has restaurants all over. But this is Iron Chef Morimoto's flagship restaurant is Morimoto. It's high-end Japanese food, some sushi, some Western influence. Absolutely amazing. If you've never experienced Kobe beef Wagyu before, or really high-end Japanese, Morimoto is the place to do it. It's always good.
And then some stuff that is around the convention center and just like a Philly icon is the Reading Terminal Market. It is the Philly's oldest public market with over 75 small family-owned businesses, which includes restaurants, produce and meat vendors, specialty food vendors, ice cream, candy stores. Like some of the more iconic ones is okay, I don't know how to pronounce Denique's. I'm like, okay, how do I pronounce this word?
Oh, that's my
Denique's roast pork and broccoli sandwich. It sounds weird. It is so amazingly good. It's broccoli rabe, and it is incredible.
Yeah.
You also have the original turkey, and you have Sweet Tea Bakeries. There is a pizza. You can get pizza by the slice. That their pizza over there is really good. I know when I'm like have like a minute or like 10 minutes between like meetings or something, I'll like run over like a weird time and get a slice of pizza, and it's delicious. Like Reading Terminal, I love that. It's like one of the reasons why I like PAX Unplugged so much is because the food options are so good
they're amazing,
as compared to like some other conventions. And I love that.
You'll find so many different things. You can get a bagel in the morning. You can get ice cream. You can get baked goods. You can get Somali food. You can get anything in Reading Terminal. I don't want to shortchange the original turkey. This is one of the only places I've been to where you can get turkey, gravy, mashed potatoes, stuffing, sweet potato any time of year, and it is done perfectly.
Yeah, it's like it's like run by like Amish, like an Amish family or something like that, I think.
Yeah.
And finally, the last place I want to talk about is the Milligan's Old Ale House, which has been open since 1860. So Daryl, me, Casey, we've gone before. It's the oldest operating tavern in Philadelphia and just one of the oldest taverns in the country.
It's McGillen's Old Ale House. It's so good. Both beer and food. So nice.
So that was like the cool drinks and food in Philly, and I love that we do these shows like before Philly, because I'm so excited now, like even more excited to go to Philly. But yeah, let's go to the final portion of the show and invite Heather back. Hello, Heather. Welcome back.
You guys are making me hungry.
I know, right?
Every time we do the show, I'm just drooling.
Any fact checks you need? You know, anything we said that needs correcting?
I mean, we could be here all day on cheesesteaks, but I mean, you know, I put mine. I like Jim's on South, which is walkable to the convention center, and John's roast pork, which is not really walkable, but that's for some reason their cheesesteak's always on the top list, even though it's called John's roast pork. So that's my only things I'll say. We could be here all day otherwise.
Absolutely. No, that's helpful.
Amazing.
And Corey, what's our question for
our final question of the show? Because Philadelphia is the city of brotherly love, what is your best love-themed game?
Oh.
So I can start us off here, and Heather will give you the most time to come up with your answer. I am a big fan of And Then We Held Hands. This is a 2-player only game about balance and relationship and argument by David Cherkoff and Yannick Massa, published by Ludi Creations in 2015. And there's a circular board where each player has a piece, and you rotate the pieces around the board by playing cards. The neat thing is the cards splay out. There's something different on the right side of the card or the left side of the card. And if you've moved to the right side of the circle, you have to splay them to play the right side of the card. If you move to the left side of the circle, you have to splay them to play the left side of the card. And you can play cards either from your own hand or your partner's hand. And your goal is to balance what you've played with what your partner's played and eventually end up in the middle of the circle at the same time. Also, not allowed to talk during the game. You need to just feel out the play between the two. It's a fantastic 2-player cooperative relationship game.
Nice. Well, mine is probably almost the opposite of a game experience. My pick would be Hearts of Attraction by R&R Games. They're like little magnets that all stick to each other and look like little hearts. And it's a dexterity game where you're trying to like toss them in and have the magnet stick to your throw. It's just a silly, fun dexterity game that's very difficult to find in Canada because for some reason our border doesn't like magnets going across the border. So I'm sure someone ate them, and so now it's a problem because
Well, we've got that here too.
Don't you put it in your mouth? I don't know why that's so hard to understand.
Don't eat magnets.
Right, don't eat magnets. But yeah, so I was going there. The other I'll give honorable mention that I was thinking about was Dream Phone because that's a classic. Old school, and it did get kind of restored as a Dream Crush, I think, from restoration games. But those were a couple, just good time memories that I thought of. How about you, Beneeta?
So I'm going to choose Love Letter. The princess is trying to find her, companion that will guide her through all her duties as a princess. And it is a really cute and clever card game that I think was one of the first, micro games and mini games that started the trend. Absolutely. And now, you can find, a Love Letter, Cthulhu, Love Letter Arkham Horror, Batman. You even got Star Wars. So whatever you like, find the Love Letter theme that works for you. All of these Love Letters, the rules get tweaked depending on the theme. I've played a bunch of them. They're all really fun, and you can put them in your purse. It's a classic game. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite one? Any of the Love Letters? My personal favorite one, while you think about it, is actually for a little time they offered if you did a wedding, they would send you
I heard about this.
married editions. And so I had friends that actually threw a surprise wedding. They invited us for an engagement party, but then surprised us all, and it was a wedding ceremony. And our takeaway was everyone got a Love Letter wedding edition. Cool. So I thought that was pretty
That's really cool. I probably like the Star Wars one because I just really like the Star Wars IP. That's probably my favorite one.
I think the Batman one is the best.
I was just gonna say I'm still hunting. I'm still hunting for a Batman edition.
I feel like I would really like the Batman one. I've just never played it. I've never seen it, so I just cannot say that's my favorite one because I've never played it. How about you, Heather? What is your favorite loved themed game?
Well, I agree with you on Love Letter. I was trying to think of something else. I was like, oh, I don't particularly love games about romance if I was choosing my theme anyway, but I love Love Letter. But since I do RPGs, I thought I better shout out an RPG, which you may not have heard about. It's a hugely popular one called Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
Yes.
It won a Nebula Award. It is legit, and it's just about love and adventure and swords. But it's something that if you think someone will be into that, that's the one to check out.
Oh, it's a fantastic one.
And it's got great art, and it's very cool. So there we go.
Who published that?
Evil Hat.
Cool.
Evil Hat Production.
Awesome. Great.
I love the name.
Yeah.
Works so well. Amazing. Well, I can't believe I'm saying this, but our time has flown by so fast. What we'd love to do is make sure everyone can find each other. I'm going to put you, Heather, on the spot. I know you're not a self-bragger, but we need you to brag a little bit about where people can find you, reach out to you, see all the different things you're up to.
Sure. Just for socials, it's pretty much everything is under 9th Level Games, the number 9. We are on Blue Sky. And then my personal on Blue Sky is Heather O'Neill 23. And website is 9thlevel.com as well. So you can find out what we're doing. And then as far as Unpub stuff, it is usually at the Unpub, and then unpub.org for any of those things you're looking to check out.
Love it.
Exciting. For me, you can find me, Beneeta Kaur, everywhere. If I'm going to be at PAX Unplugged, I'm also going to be doing a learn and play. I'm going to be doing Darwin's Journey in the Footsteps of Marie Curie, and my learn and play will be on Saturday at 10 p.m. in the convention center, and I'm going to be co-teaching the game with Justin Bell from Meeple Mountain. So come and learn how to play a game, and it's just like a very chill vibe Saturday morning. So that will be a lot of fun. So hopefully I'll see people there.
Very cool. I really like the Murray Curry game. I thought it was like a nice, entry level, family friendly, nice strategic moment. So
yeah, I'm excited to teach people how to play. I think people will really enjoy it.
Absolutely. Well, people can find me usually on Facebook, Instagram, all the different places. Usually my full name, sometimes with my middle initial M, which will make it look like Daryl Andrews. Just an easy way to remember, especially if you're a designer and you want to talk about design, or you're even just curious about it and you've never done it before. Especially want to encourage. We need a diversity of voices and people out there making cool stuff. And so if I can be a help in any way, please reach out, and I'd love to chat.
And you can find Above Board TV and our videos on YouTube as Above Board TV. I am usually on socials as Dice Tower Dish. And Above Board has its own socials. Also, check out Board Game Insider website for the podcast.
And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Thank you, Heather, for joining us. We will be having an episode before PAX next week. We are going to be discussing Vienna, so make sure you tune in. We're always Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. And we were excited to see everyone next week, and have people who are in the U.S. have a happy Thanksgiving. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
I mean, you can have a happy Thanksgiving in Canada.
Yeah.